Hi everyone and welcome to Jab and Move with your host Stephen. I hope you've all had a wonderful Christmas and now gearing up for the new year parties and festivities coming. So in between this, obviously we had 6 days ago a phenomenal fight between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, where Usyk had won by unanimous decision, retaining the unification titles and now edging himself into absolute greatness in heavyweight history. But just wanted to have a quick look and actually see not only where possibly he ranks among some of the greats, and this is where I need your guys' help to see what you think and what your thoughts are on this, but also who potentially you would class as the greatest of all time. I have my thoughts, but it'd be interesting to see what you guys think, and obviously having that conversation started and maybe doing some more videos on that leading through who are the greatest in the divisions that we know today and love today. So yeah, very quickly, like I said, leading off, that was Usyk's victory was phenomenal. He is now the best of his generation. He is the best of this current set of heavyweights. That is in no doubt. He has beaten Anthony Joshua twice, who at one point people were saying could be the greatest of his generation. And he's beaten Tyson Fury, who, especially after the trilogy fights with Wilder, was spoken about not only in this generation, but other generations as well. And again, the up-and-comer Daniel Dubois beating him. And ironically, probably his hardest fight of the heavyweight division, Cowboy Derek Chisora, he's beaten him too, so that's another tick off the list. So he's beaten everyone in his way. He's done it multiple times against multiple opponents now, and there is no way that he cannot be classed as the best of his current generation and stable of fighters, which is, like I say, is without question. But where does he rank among the best of all time? Now, I have my thoughts on this. There's an awful lot of fights people are going to throw out there. There's an awful lot I've heard when I've spoken to people about this. I have a few that one is sort of more of a soft spot on my heart, but the other two I think are just undisputed the top two, and it depends on how you would sort of equal them or rival them. I don't know, but sort of looking at it, like I say, I think Usyk is in, I would probably say, the top 10 now of greatest. I don't think he hits the top 5. There were just too many fighters, different generations, so it was just phenomenal. Just reeling off the head, obviously you've got the best one, or obviously you've got number one, people class as the best as Muhammad Ali. Then you've got obviously Mike Tyson, you've got Fraser, you've got Holyfield, Lewis, Marciano. We've got all of these Foreman, like I say, we've got all of these other players in here that potentially are the Klitschko's. I know obviously their records speak for themselves, but it's interesting to see what you think of them. A lot of people said they never really faced many people, but there were quite a few fights leading up to that before it kicked off with Fury, Joshua and everything onwards that they did exceptionally well with. So it'd be interesting to see what your thoughts were on that. But for me personally, obviously everyone always goes to Ali, and why wouldn't you? He's phenomenal fighter, one of the greatest to grace the earth, and within heavyweights, absolutely beast. Obviously his fight for Manila with Fraser was, for me personally, still one of the greatest fights I've ever watched. Obviously way too young to watch it, but on YouTube and stuff and watching it, it was still for me probably the greatest fight, the most enjoyable fight I've seen between two fighters. When the old days when you used to actually go 14 rounds as well, which was just brutal. And I think that fight in the end is not only something that's spoken about, obviously like 50 plus years now since then, it's not only spoken about in folklore, but it's still something that people watch. It's still something that people point to every time when they say Ali is the greatest. And like I say, without doubt for me, it's the most enjoyable fight I've ever watched. Live, of course, but on YouTube and stuff. Now, yeah, he's unbelievable. He's beaten everyone. Like I say, he lost to Fraser, but he then recorrected that with another win and took the titles home and stuff. And I think with Ali, the one thing that you always say is that he corrected his losses. Whenever he lost someone, he went back and won and beat them, which is something that, again, another fighter that I would rank, especially in probably my top 5, is Lennox Lewis. I would say absolutely he's another one who, when he had lost his couple of fights he did, he went back and avenged those defeats with victories. Obviously, he's the first British fighter since, I think it was 1929, can't remember the name now, but that's sort of jumped out my head, but to win the undisputed heavyweight championship. So in modern times, the first one, and still the only one to do it, and to win the undisputed. Obviously that was at the 3-bout era. It's changed since then with the 4 bouts. And yeah, he was unbelievable. Again, technically gifted fighter. He had the knockout power that was unreal. But I don't put him in the same breath as Ali. I think he's just under. Like I say, I think he an incredible record, had incredible wins. There were a couple of fights where he took the eye off the ball a little bit, but again, straight back in a few months later, avenged them, took the titles home. So for me, I think he's one of them where you'll always be remembered as one of the greatest. Is he the greatest for me? Absolutely not. I think I'll say absolutely not. That's a bit harsh. I don't think he is. I think he's in the top 5 conversation, which still is phenomenal by anyone's stretch of the imagination. But yeah, him and Ali both avenged their defeats, and I think that's something that they'll always say about them is, yes, they did lose, but everyone's going to lose in this game. It depends who you lose to, and who they lost to, and who they beat, and how they recomposed themselves to win those fights was something that I found was brilliant. And it was something with the heart and the courage of a champion. A champion isn't about always winning. You can win, of course. You can win consistently. Like I say, I think obviously Usyk at the moment is still undefeated. He has lost amateur fights, but in the professional ring he is undefeated now. Whether that's because he's had 300 and odd amateur fights before that, and he just perfected that art, who knows? Like I say, his ring craft is phenomenal. In terms of the ability of winning rounds and being able to manipulate that and have that ability there within the boxing ring. But with, like I say, those two, it was more about the comebacks, the fight backs, the loss that would have hurt you deeply, but be able to come back on that and fight for the win is something that both Lewis and Ali, for me, have got something that separates them from a few of the all-times. But yeah, so obviously, like I said, I have them in there. There's just obviously a few mentions. There's obviously more fighters I'm sure you'll speak about in the chat and we'll have a conversation with. But again, for me personally, in my personal opinion, I say Usyk is in the top 10. Is he in the top 5? I don't think so. But just as a side note, who I think is the greatest of all time, personally, is Mike Tyson. I think he's the greatest. Now, obviously, for longevity, probably not so much. We all know what happened, the hiatus, and then obviously coming back, and Holyfield, obviously another mention in one of the greatest of all times, who'd done very similar routes of Usyk, but obviously what he did there and stuff, and he was done at that point. I think he very quickly realised that he had been out the ring and he had lost the fight at that point. But the 1986 to the 1989, 1990 version of Mike Tyson was ferocious, unstoppable, and just downright scary. I think, for me personally, he's the one that drives absolute fear into fighters. You see it when you watch the fights back and stuff. Again, a little bit before my time, so I was too young to watch them, unfortunately. But the fear in the boxer's eyes. He'd already won at the ring walk. He'd walk there, no music, stripped back, black shorts, maybe a black vest, walk into the ring, and just the fear, like the look in his eyes would drive fear into men, and pure ferociousness. And I remember, I think it was actually around 89, 90, Ali and Tyson were on the same talk show. They've been a while now. There's a clip that circulates around social media quite a lot actually on that. And they asked Ali if anyone could beat him, if anyone was good enough to beat him. And he says that the only one man he feels that probably could beat Muhammad Ali in terms of continually, and that is Mike Tyson. And I think he's right. I think for me personally, it's just the aura about the guy in that period, the ferociousness, the anger, the pure will to win at such a young age as well. Like I say, it was 19 when he was heavyweight champion of the world. He was unstoppable, and it weren't even the fact that he was technically a really good boxer. He was good. He was a good boxer, but he was, I don't think personally, he was at the levels of an Ali, a Frazier, a Holyfield, a Lewis in terms of the technical ability of his fights. But he was just a beast, and he would hammer down on people. He would go there and within 2 rounds he would destroy you, or within the first 20 seconds you knew you were either gonna like get knocked the fuck out, or it was gonna be just some kind of throw a towel in or something at that point. And quite a few fighters, you see the fear in their eyes. And with Mike Tyson, I always had this feeling that he didn't just want to go in there and win a boxing match. I felt, especially in his younger days, with obviously the bringing up he had and things like that, I think he just wanted to kill people. I think he genuinely wanted to go in the ring and put you in a body bag, which today's world would be shocked by that. But when it comes to that generation of heavyweights and Mike Tyson, the ability that he had, I think it just added to his aura, added to his ferociousness, added to him as an athlete, and one that drives fear into everyone. And I think him in his prime, for me personally, is the greatest of all time. So yeah, like I say, it's just a bit of a video to have a look at it. Obviously, Usyk has won. He now is not only the greatest of his generation, but I think now he is in consideration of one of the greatest. But there are a few mentions in there, like I say, the Lewises, the Holyfields, the Frasers, obviously Ali, which for me, like I said, he's second only to one who is the greatest for me of all time, which is Mike Tyson. So get your thoughts in below, guys. Let me know what you think of this, who you think is the greatest of all time. And like I said, no doubt we can always have these videos. We can go back through this and we can reevaluate these things and have these conversations. Again, thank you for the people who commented on the post when I put it in. Great conversation. And again, it just reinforced not only Ali's greatness, but some of the others that come through as well. So get your likes, comments and subscribes in, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a lovely rest of your Christmas days and a wonderful new year. Take care. Bye.